All right. Way back in ninth grade, right after our midterms got over, I found myself sitting in the dining hall of my almost high school, all alone. Almost everyone around me had a friend group, a partner, or at least one other person that they were sharing their meal with. And here I was, all by myself. A top scorer, every teacher's favorite student, actually a very good conversationalist by the time that I already got into high school. I'd already addressed audiences of about 8,000 people. I'd received prestigious state awards and recognitions. Then what had gone so wrong that I had not even one person to share a meal with? On the outside, I was just the kind of pretty little girl that everyone should want to be friends with. That day made me realize how hollow loneliness can make a person. It's like termite in a good batch of wood. It is around this time in my life that I actively started seeking mentorship from Ms. Kaur. She is the creator of the 5 Inner Intelligence Framework, and while it is the truth that I had known her for quite some time even back then, I had just started realizing that I could change the trajectory of my life, but with her mentorship. So the first thing that came to my mind when I found myself in that situation was go to her. Ask her. She will know what to do. So I went to her, I told her what happened, and with tears in my eyes, I asked her, what on earth is the point of being so accomplished if I don't even have one person to share my meal with? I thought that being accomplished was all that you needed to be admired and loved by people. And look at me. There's not one thing that I do that I'm not good at. Everything that I try my hands on, I excel at it. And yet the people in my life, they don't like me. They don't want to be with me. They don't even want to be in the same room as me. Can you please help me? I just want to make some friends. Can you please help me? She looked at me, she smiled, and then this is what she did. She took a pump of toothpaste and she squeezed lots of it out on a paper plate. She gave the plate to me and she said, Aafreen, I am going to answer that question for you, but only once you put all of that toothpaste back where it came from. I looked at her as if she had grown 2 heads, because how on earth was I supposed to put all that back where it came from? She looked at me being confused, and then this is what she said. Do not make messes that you can't clean up after, Aafreen. And then she said, Aafreen, you need to choose the words that leave your mouth very cautiously. It is true, you are a good communicator, but you're not an intelligent communicator. You talk with the intention of impressing people. Not once do you try to connect with them. You utter words without realizing the impact that they have on the people in your life. And I said to her, then teach me. Tell me what it means to be an intelligent communicator. I promise you, I will do everything that you ask of me. I will be the best student you ever had. Just please just help me get out of this mess. It is at this point in my life that I was introduced to communication intelligence, a skill, but most importantly, a way of being that opened doors for me that I did not even know existed. Now, when I first started learning about communication intelligence, the first thing that I understood from my mentor was that if I ever wanted to be intelligent in my communication, there were certain things that I had to be very mindful about. Number 1, I needed to understand that we are beings of emotion, not logic. That if I ever wanted to connect with the people in my life, I could not do that by applying logic on them. Connection comes when we understand where the other person is coming from. Number 2, that I needed to take my focus away from the things that I should be doing and first focus on the things that I should not be doing. That I first needed to have a not to-do list. Because the world tells you about the things that you should be doing, the way you should walk, the way you should talk, the kind of body language that you should have, the kind of eye contact that you should maintain. But no one ever tells you about the things that you should not be doing, when in reality, it is those things that you should not be doing that you end up doing that have the most negative impact on the people in your life. And lastly, I needed to stop committing the blunder of thinking that the people in my life should listen to me just because I am the one speaking. I realized that we missed to ask ourselves a very important question. Why should anyone listen to me? What is so special in what I'm saying that people owe their listening to me? Who am I? I learned that if I ever wanted the people in my life to understand me, to listen to me, to pay attention to me, that I first needed to pay that attention, that listening, that understanding to them. And I've spent the last several years of my life learning that communication intelligence is a very profound combination of my communication skills and my emotional intelligence. And over the last several years, I have had the distinct honor of continuing to work with my mentor as she trains corporate professionals in this very essential skill of communication intelligence. Now, these people, they're sitting in Fortune 500 companies, very prestigious positions all across the globe. And in all my time that I've had the chance to interact with them, there was one thing that I have realized, that the struggle that I was facing way back then was not a result of teenage hormones. I was not teenage angst either. The sad reality is that whether it's a 15-year-old or it's a 50-year-old, communication and relationships are two things that the majority of people struggle with, and it takes us way too long to realize that. If you notice carefully, you'll see that people happen to be at the center of communication intelligence. You can't quite relate to the people in your life without the right communication. And that is why the first thing that communication intelligence heals is your relationships. And that is what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how you can redefine every relationship in your life through communication intelligence. And in that, I want to specifically introduce you to 3 elements that will help you create magic in your relationships. And when I say magic, I really mean magic. In fact, it is what my mentor refers to as the 3A magic. Why magic? Do you remember when you used to be younger and your parents would take you to magic shows? Do you remember what would happen when you would see a magician do a magic trick? You would smile. For no logical, no calculated reason, you would just smile. And that moment when you smiled, that moment was magical. And when we create such moments in our relationships, when certain small, unexpected gestures bring a smile to our face, in those moments, our relationship become magical too. Now, here's one thing that I want you to remember as I introduce you to the 3A magic. Life may be very difficult and complicated sometimes, but at our very core, we ourselves are very simple, very uncomplicated beings. In fact, when it comes to relationships, the only need, the one expectation that we have of people is to know that you listen to me, that you understand me, and that you are paying attention to me. And that is what the 3A magic revolves around. The first A, is acknowledge. What does it mean to acknowledge? Acknowledge. It means to have the knowledge of. The knowledge of who this person really is. You know, when I first came to America back in 2017, there's this very common phrase that I've heard at every nook and corner of the country. I appreciate you. Somebody holds the door open for you. Thank you, I appreciate it. A friend helps you with a project. Thank you so much. You're the very best. I really appreciate you. So I get it. I get it that you must appreciate the people in your day-to-day life on an almost regular basis. Your parents, your friends, your family members. I understand that. But there's a difference between acknowledging someone and appreciating them. The people in your life spend their entire lives wondering, what does that mean in your life? Do you care? If they were to disappear tomorrow morning, would it matter to you? And we think they must know. They must know how much we love them, how much we care for them, how much they mean to us. Well, they don't. The people in your life need to be told that without you, my life is incomplete. That if you weren't here, there would be this huge U-shaped hole in my life, and I'm so grateful that that's not the case. Acknowledgement is the biggest ointment that can heal any relationship. Because a lot of times what happens is that in the rush of life, our relationships often lose meaning. we often forget what the absence of a certain individual would do to us. Acknowledgement brings that meaning back to any relationship. And when you use communication intelligence and you acknowledge someone, you don't just tell them that you are grateful for them. You also tell them why you're grateful for them. You don't just tell them that my life is incomplete without you. You also tell them why that would be the case. That is the first A, acknowledge. The second A is apologize. There's a difference between saying sorry and making an apology. You see, sorry happens to be our autopilot. Something happens, you say sorry, the other person says it's okay. Sorry is your autopilot, it's okay is the other person's. Neither the sorry that you're saying is real, nor is the it's okay that the other person is saying. There's no thought that goes into it. So if you really want to make amends sometime, and you really want to show the other person that you genuinely care for them, you need to take a step forward from saying the sorry and make an apology instead. And there are 3 steps that you need to follow in order to make an effective apology using communication intelligence. Number 1, don't say that you're sorry. Say that you regret it instead. Say that you regret that certain thing happened, because a very big difference between saying sorry and saying that you regret it is that in this case, you're taking ownership of what you did. But you still haven't cut across just yet. On the second step, you need to express this understanding to the other person that I understand. I understand that I hurt you. I understand that my words hurt you. When you do this, you're letting the other person know that you genuinely care about them, but you still haven't cut across just yet. You need to seal it with the third step. And this is the most important step. Ask them, tell me, what is it that I can do to make this better? You see, at its very core, communication intelligence is about understanding where the other person is coming from. And not just that. It is about being able to show them that I understand you, I listen to you, I do pay attention to you. And when you ask them this question, you are showing to them that not only do I genuinely regret what I did, I'm ready to do something about it. An apology is that tool in communication intelligence that tells the other person that I care about you and our relationship much more than I care about my ego. That is the second A, apologize. The third A, this happens to be the most difficult one, accept. Accept people the way they are because you want people to accept you the way you are. You know, a lot of times you see someone and you think this person is so great, only if they could change this one thing about them. What we don't realize is that sometimes this only if can take a lifetime. And the first thought that comes to our mind is, why can't they change? All they have to do is make this little change over here, a little one over here, and that last one over there, and they'll be perfect, still be good. But let's look at it this way. Imagine if your thumb was a little longer than your index finger. Half the grasp that you have in your hands wouldn't be there anymore. The people in your life are like that because they're meant to be like that. Now, when I tell you to go and accept the people in your life, I am not telling you to go and tell them, I accept you. Nah, that would defeat the purpose. A lot of times, communication intelligence is not about how you interact with the people in your surroundings. A lot of times, communication intelligence is about how you interact with your own thought process, with your own mindset. Because when you apply it, you will realize that a very big thing that communication intelligence does is it ends this internal dissatisfaction that keeps creeping up every now and then. And another thing that it does is that it nurtures that source of inner happiness that's also right there. That is the third A, accept. Now I want you to know that this 3A magic is a very small ocean, a very small drop in the ocean of communication intelligence. And as you apply communication intelligence, one thing that you will realize is that you end up leaving heartprints. The theme of this TED Talk today is reimagine. So if there's one thing that I hope that you take from this talk today, it is this: that you consider reimagining the way that you communicate with the people in your life. And as a result of that, you reimagine the relationships that you share with the people in your life. Because even if you don't want to, one way or another, no matter what, you do leave an impact. It is my hope that you consciously choose to leave behind heartprints. Heartprints that make you unforgettable. Heartprints that allow people to remember you. If you took any value from this talk today, I have one request to make. When you step out of this room today, please go home and acknowledge that one person. That one person who makes your life what it is, without whom life would be incomplete. Accept that one person, anyone. And you don't have to tell them anything. Just be grateful that they're there. And if there's a relationship that has stopped breathing, that is suffocating because it needs an apology, then apologize to just that one person. And maybe then someone in your life might take inspiration from you to create magic in their life with communication intelligence too. That is my hope today. Thank you so much.